Hello Capricorn, I'm Love from Leo. Welcome back. So today is going to be your reading for February. And I wanted to see what the overall subject of your reading was going to be surrounding. And we got Uranus, okay? So Uranus is the planet of freedom, individuality, big changes, big insights, big thoughts, okay? So this is probably going to be a deeper type of reading for you. It seems like some big changes are coming your way. And I actually just got the chills saying that. So let's go ahead and see what's going on for your February. Beginning of February for Capricorn. Alrighty, first card out. Alrighty, Capricorn. So we're starting your February off with the Knave of Pentacles. I'm sorry, the Knight of Pentacles. And so this is a card that I like to see. It kind of reminds me of you guys. It's definitely a situation where you are focused on your goals. You're getting towards them, and it's because whatever doesn't serve you, you're pushing it to the side. You're not trying to keep things around that you don't have to keep around, right? So that could be really, really beneficial in certain ways. And I feel like it's also you providing and creating balance in your life. In a sense where it's more of like justice, like a justified type of situation. This could also be dealing with a Libra. You may be leaving a Libra because you feel like they aren't serving you, or the situation between you and this Libra just isn't doing anything to help you. And yeah, it definitely could be a Libra because it says here with the Queen of Swords that there maybe that Libra was being distant with you or being very cold, or maybe you guys just couldn't for some reason have a conversation that needed to be had. It also could have been just some betrayal. But not betrayal, that was the wrong word. I don't want to say betrayal. More sneakiness, or someone's not being completely honest about what's going on. And it could just be that they're not being honest with themselves, and you're seeing that and you're like, look, I don't really have time for this, especially if you put a lot of energy into trying to fix that. You're like, okay, let me just move on, because I'm not gonna get anywhere trying to fix that situation at the moment. And so it seems as though you were really taking authority of, you know, the things going on in your life. This is also the Aries card, but being that you are a Capricorn, I do correspond that card with Capricorn a lot, because it's about authority and kind of being the boss over what's going on in your surroundings and having that authority. So I feel like you have the authority to balance out your life and maybe leave something behind, okay? So moving on, we have the Five of Cups in reverse. So I feel like after you've done whatever you have to do, whether it was leaving that person behind or just kind of finding the balance with that situation, I definitely think that you are in a position where you're a little bit more optimistic. I feel like you don't feel as heavy emotionally. I feel like you're in a situation where you feel as though things are moving a little bit better for you, and you can see brighter days ahead. You aren't feeling very low. You aren't feeling groggy. And you're not feeling like, you know, there's nothing to be happy about. And so you're really, here's your card here, Capricorn. So you're really showing this energy of just feeling good, you know, feeling very Capricornish, like you're just back to you. I think it's because your goals are a little bit more in sight now, because you have put something to the back burner. I also feel like that drive, that determination that you possess as a Capricorn, it's showing up a lot more. You feel it more, I should say. But in the same breath, there is a little bit of a sense of not having any emotional ties, and so that can be, you know, good for some and bad for others. But it seems as though in order for you to feel that Capricorn self, it's almost like you had to leave some type of emotional part of your life behind, or you're not focused on it right now at the moment. And you're definitely not worried about trying to include someone. It seems as though you're just kind of not worried about trying to have an emotional life at the moment, because I just feel like you are in a position where you're like, focus on something else. You know, you're just not focused on that at the moment because it didn't do anything for you. We move to the Tower card in reverse. So there was something that happened, maybe not necessarily on your behalf, but there was something that you didn't see coming, and it could have changed the way that things were going for you, for sure. So let's go ahead and see what this Tower card is in regards to in your life. So it's something that you already know about, but you weren't paying attention to it. In other words, it's dealing with something that you had been not focusing on. And it could have been something that was a blessing to you, or something that could have changed the energy of the way that things were going for you. It could have been something that could have brought more positivity in your life, but for some reason you weren't feeling the need to go after it. You weren't feeling that drive to push towards it. Maybe you weren't feeling passionate about the situation. And just to put it simply, you weren't caring about it. You didn't have any real connection mentally towards it. And I think it's just because you as a Capricorn, when you're done with something, you're just done. And until you're ready to be done, you're going to stay a part of it. But I really feel like you are like, fuck it. You just don't care. And it can be coming off really, really harsh. But for some reason, it's involving this love life. You are done with that situation. And it could be that some of you, I feel like you're at peace by being done with it, but the other person didn't have closure. Or for some of you, I feel like you're just completely dismissing your emotional life and you're acting like it doesn't even exist. So that can be really, really conflicting for someone else because they don't even know how to communicate that with you. But like I said, you're not feeling it. You're over it. You're at a point where you may not even be prepared to make movements forward, but you already are. Like you already are moving forward. And this could mean if it's a love situation, it can mean that you are already trying to hop back into the dating pool, or you're already just like back to that I don't give a fuck attitude, and you're just kind of doing whatever with whoever just because it feels right, and you're not really thinking and being emotional about the past. It's like you just don't care. You're disattached from it. Moving on to the middle of February. And again, I do want to stress that when I say you don't care, it doesn't mean that you don't care, but I feel like you feel like, what's the point of trying to care? And it's just, you know, a lot of Capricorns kind of have that mentality. If it isn't serving me, then oh well. Like if it's not practical, then I'm not going to try to work on it. But you could do a lot of things that could be hurtful to the other person if there's no real closure yet with the situation. Alrighty, let's go to the middle of February. First card out. And third card. So we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. So again, I think you're doing a lot of thinking. I mean, not a lot of thinking, but it's like you're doing a lot of doing. You're putting a lot of action into something without planning it. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's affecting your everyday life. It's maybe you're not doing what you're used to doing. Maybe you changed up your schedule of what you normally do. And I think it's because whatever you took away from your life, whatever you left behind, they were a big part of your life, or that situation was a big part of your life. And once you left it behind, things started to shift. Your everyday life started to shift. That the day-to-day routine started to shift. And so things are just different now. Things are just, I think you're going about it in a way where it's like, you're moving on. It's almost like this feeling of like, you may have the biggest feelings in the world for them, but for some reason you're like, fuck it, like fuck them, fuck that situation. It's not doing anything to benefit me. And you're kind of, it's not that you're kind of being cold about it, but I feel like for some reason it's warranted. Like you feel like you have the authority to do that. And it could be for a good reason, but hopefully it's not for a bad reason, okay? There's a situation or maybe a discussion that needed to be had. For some of you, you did have it. And for others, you didn't. But either way, that discussion was really tough to get through. But I think it was needed in order for you to be able to expand. So for a lot of you, you could have had that discussion and been like, look, I know this is hard, but I'm not going back. I'm trying to move forward. I want to expand, and you're just not a part of that. You're not, you know, and it comes off as harsh maybe to the other person. And maybe they feel like emotionally you're just not there anymore and they can't trust you. But I feel like you can't trust them. I feel like you were missing the signs, and now you were at a point where it's like, look, I just have to make a decision for myself. And I think you're being selfish about it, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what you needed in order to have like this success or this achievement or feel fulfilled. I feel like you just had to leave that behind, and I think it was hard, but I think the way that you dealt with it was kind of numbing it out. And that's what you're doing. A lot of you are doing that at this moment. We move to the 5 of Wands in reverse. So for some of you, it could have been a very, very toxic situation. If this is a volatile type of situation. But for a lot of you, it could have just meant that you were standing your ground, and it didn't have to get violent. But at the same time, it was a situation where it's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing the battling anymore. I'm done with trying to get you to understand. I'm done with fighting for something that just isn't working. So I feel like it wasn't that it turned violent. I think that it was a situation where you were like, look, it's over with. There's no point in me trying to physically put effort into something that just isn't working. And I think you're you're standing very strong in that conviction. You're very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? You're standing in that, is what I'm saying. You're not budging from that mindset that you have. You're like, I'm done. I should have left a long time ago, and you've done it. Now you're like, look, it's over with. It doesn't feed me anymore. It doesn't do anything for me spiritually. And I think it's because you've seen things in different perspectives. Some things may have been revealed, and I think you're just like, look, I'm over it. I'm done. And I think you've moved on from a situation. You may have been naive in a situation, but this is the Aries card. And so maybe the Aries had some things that were revealed, and you were like, look, I'm done. That's it. You don't have any like emotional connection to it anymore. Whether you numbed it out or not, it's like you're not waiting for it to get better. You know what I'm saying? 10 of Pentacles. So when you move on to the 10 of Pentacles, it seems as though there's a situation of completion when it comes to your possessions, your family life, your domestic life, your morals. I feel like things are more stable in that regard. So let's see what more I can get on that. You aren't reaching out for help anymore. I don't think you necessarily need it. Some of you may need the help, but you feel like you don't. So you feel like everything's coming together. I feel like you ended something. Well, we know you definitely ended something, but once you ended it, there was no need to even ask for help anymore. There was no need to try to fix it. Like when I say you were done, you were really finished with the situation. And again, it's stemming from this emotional life. It's this love life. It's this emotional attachment to something that you're just completely done with. And I think it was just because it was time for change. It was time for change, and it was time for you to really just appreciate what was going on. Not what was going on, but appreciate what you want and kind of honor that and going towards that instead of trying to fix something that just doesn't seem to be working out. It could also be a maternal figure in your life that is showing up here, or maybe someone that's pregnant. And so now you're focused on family. And so you're like, look, I don't have time for the extra shit. I don't have time for the extra bull. I'm just moving on. I have other things I have to worry about. I have bigger fish to fry. And it's really like that set in stone. And I feel like for another person, for some of you, the other person is really feeling hurt by this. But for some of you, this is that power you needed. This is what you needed to say. And it just took you to be the person to really have that stance on something. Moving to the end of your February. End of February for Capricorn. End of February for Capricorn. There we go. All right, Capricorn. So in the end of your February, we have the Ace of Swords. So there's real communication, honesty, clarity. Mentally, you have clarity. I feel like you're very, very clear now on what's going on. I feel like things that were holding you back from progressing, you can be honest about that now. The person that you felt like protected you, or the person that you felt like was your confidant of some sort, it could be an Aries or Leo that's showing up here. I feel like you're being honest about that now. For some Capricorns, you could be having some issues with your health or just feeling a little bit drained, maybe because the switch in your lifestyle has caused you to feel a little more run down, so to speak. But for some reason, it's like you're really clear on what's really happening. You could even be at a position where it's like you didn't even realize that you weren't really taking care of you. You weren't even yourself when you were dealing with that past situation. And I feel like you're being really honest about that now, or you can see it clearly. Moving on to the Four of Swords in reverse. So again, with you having that clear type of mind, I think you're finally looking at the things that you've been pushing to the back, or things that you haven't been dealing with. So what haven't we been dealing with? And you're really starting to evaluate it, reevaluate it. What have they not been dealing with? So you needed to put some things down. You were doing some busy work. And again, this is what was happening with Aries just as well. So you may want to check out the Aries reading, but it seems as though you needed to put some things down and really focus mentally and figure out what was going wrong, because it was definitely happening, but you were so busy doing the things that you needed to do, whether it was work or whether you were entertaining yourself with other people, whatever situation it was, now it's time for you to put some things to the side and really sit down and look at what needs to be fixed, okay? And it could also be because you had a lot going on, whether it was emotionally, maybe you had a lot of opportunities and options, but now it's like you are at a point where it's like, okay, I need to put some things to the side, put some things to rest, and mentally assess what's going on, and put the effort back into what I needed to work on, you know? And that's what it seems like it is. And it's like, instead of you walking away from it, it's like you're going back towards it so you can figure out what went wrong. And when you do this, it'll give you a sense of what it really means to be a leader. Because it takes a little bit of courage, but I think you finally will understand why you have to go back and assess certain things instead of just shutting it out and numbing it out. I feel like there was a sense of you numbing a lot of situations. So be aware of that. Like, it could help you get through things, but at the same time, you still have to, if you're going to take something out of your life, at least know why. Don't just numb it out. Don't run yourself crazy. Don't work yourself crazy trying to forget about something that needs to be dealt with, okay? We end your February with the King of Swords here in reverse. So when I see this card, there definitely could be any air sign, Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini showing up. But if it's not necessarily a person, this is a time where you're not thinking of the bigger picture. And for a lot of you, it could be that you aren't paying attention to what you created. And I think you were just going with the motions and you weren't being very logical about a lot of things, okay? So let's go ahead and see why this is popping up. This could also be some manipulation from a person, maybe someone trying to get over on you, using their words as a weapon. And because of this, you aren't able to transition. You aren't able to move forward the way that I feel like you should be able to. It could be maybe you're spending more than you need to, and it's pushing you back, you know, from your goals that you had in mind financially, or you're just not feeling secure with the way things are going. You could be overtelling, you could be saying things you don't mean, you could be saying things that other people just don't need to know about. And with this being said, this could be a Cancer coming up, but if it's not a Cancer or dealing with the Cancer, it seems as though you are having trouble putting one thing with the other so that you can move forward. It's almost like you're just kind of stagnant. You're not able to transition. So in order to fix that, you need to have the Hangman here. You need to be the Hangman and kind of just let things fall into place. I feel like you trying to do all these things are not helping, and you need to just take some time to relax. And I don't mean relax by literally just sit at home. I just mean you need to take some time to let things play out the way that they need to. I feel like you're really trying to plan a lot. I feel like you're really trying to get ahead of someone or something. But it seems like you just need to relax and let things play out as they may, so that you can have that success and that victory, and also be vindicated for the things that you know to be true, or you know to be you know that you're right about, but it's like you still need to just chill with that, and so that you can have this King of Pentacles moment, which is, you know, especially when it comes to this love situation that you weren't feel comfortable with. It's like you will be able to get past that embarrassing moment or the immature moments that you were having, and it will feel like a blessing. But in order for you to do that, you need to sit and let the universe do its thing. I feel like you're putting a lot of your own work into it, and it's time for you to just kind of relax, okay, at the end of February. So yeah, Capricorn, this was a lot to take in. I feel like it's a battle between you having big changes, but also realizing and having big insights about how you go about change and why you're having these changes happen towards you. And I also feel like it's a time where you realize sometimes you can't do everything on your own, Capricorn. You can, but sometimes they backfire because you don't have all the answers. So I wouldn't say this is a negative reading. I do think this is a very informative reading. So if you are having issues in certain parts of the month, be sure to come back and kind of see what's going on so you can kind of have a better outlook on what's to come, you know, if you feel really unstable about things. If you need a private or personal reading, you can always hit me up at lovefromleo@gmail.com and get you a reading, you know, and we can set that up for you, whether it's love related, work related, past life, whether you're trying to figure out, you know, just a yes or no question. I need a spiritual or aura checkup. Anything of that sort. I'm always available. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading for you guys. I really hope that things turn out the way that you need them to. And I hope that you get a lot of insight on what's happening, because this is big changes for you, okay, Capricorn? And yeah, I'm love from a Leo. If I'm not your favorite Leo, one day I will be. And until next time, Capricorn, I will see you very soon.